It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was drowning in a sea of cardboard boxes, each one a reminder of my recent move. I had hoped this change would spark a new beginning, but here I was, alone in my living room, surrounded by clutter. The walls felt like they were closing in on me, and the monotony of my life weighed heavy on my heart. That's when I thought of Jamal, my new neighbor. Maybe he could help, I muttered, the idea taking root in my mind. I gathered my courage and sent him a quick text. "Hey, Jamal. Want to come over and help me organize some boxes? I promise I have snacks." A moment later, my phone buzzed. "Sure, I'd love to help. Be there soon." My heart raced a little. What was I doing? Inviting the stranger over? But the thought of making a new friend thrilled me. When the doorbell rang, I felt a jolt of electricity shoot through me. I opened the door, and there he stood, Jamal, with his warm smile and easy charm. "Hi, Clara," he said, stepping inside. "Wow, it looks like you've got your work cut out for you." I laughed, trying to shake off the nerves. "Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming." We began sorting through the boxes, and as we worked side by side, I felt an unexpected tension in the air. It was thrilling, like a spark waiting to ignite. "Do you have any idea what's in these boxes?" Jamal asked, holding up a dusty old book. "Just stuff I thought I needed but clearly don't," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. But as I looked at him, I felt something shift inside me. His charisma was refreshing, intoxicating even, and I couldn't help but smile at him. "What about you? What brings you to this neighborhood?" He shrugged, his eyes sparkling. "Just looking for a fresh start, I guess. I moved here hoping to find something new." There it was again, the connection. I felt laughter bubble up between us as we shared stories, our voices mingling in the air. Each laugh chipped away at the walls I had built around my heart. I hadn't felt this alive in a long time. As we sorted through boxes, our hands brushed against each other, sending shivers down my spine. I couldn't ignore the feeling that grew stronger with every passing moment. Was it wrong to feel this way? I glanced at Jamal, who was now deep in conversation, his laughter echoing in my ears. Was I really ready to welcome this kind of excitement into my life? My thoughts drifted to Michael, my husband. I had loved him once, deeply. But lately, it felt as if we were just going through the motions. I had convinced myself that I was committed to him, but here I was, drawn to someone new. "Clara?" Jamal's voice broke through my thoughts. "Are you okay? You seem lost in thought." "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied, forcing a smile. But my heart was racing. How could I be feeling this way? Did I even want to explore these emotions? As we worked, I felt a warmth spreading through me, a longing for something I had pushed aside for too long. I watched Jamal as he laughed and joked, his eyes shining with life. I wanted to feel that way again. But what did that mean for my marriage? Could I really risk everything for a spark of passion? Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jamal paused, looking at me intently. All the time. Sometimes, you just need to shake things up a bit. His words hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning. Could this be the shake-up I needed? But at what cost? My heart raced as I grappled with the possibilities, the tension between duty and desire swirling inside me. What was I willing to risk for a chance at something more? As I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes, my mind drifted back to happier times with Michael. I could see us laughing together in our little apartment, the way we would dance in the kitchen just because we could. I remembered the sparkle in his eyes when he looked at me, the way it felt to be deeply in love. But those moments felt like a distant memory now, overshadowed by the routine that had slowly crept into our lives like a thief in the night. What happened to us? I whispered to myself, not really expecting an answer. The truth was, I had become increasingly dissatisfied with my life. The excitement that once fueled our days had faded into a dull rhythm. Michael and I were like two ships passing in the night, existing together but not really connecting. I felt trapped in a cycle of chores, work, and silence, and with every passing day, I grew more restless. Jamal's presence had stirred something inside me. I thought about the way he smiled, how his laughter filled the air and made me feel alive. It was a stark contrast to the quiet evenings I spent with Michael, where conversations felt forced and our connection was merely a shadow of what it once was. I picked up a box marked kitchen, trying to focus on organizing my new home, but my thoughts kept drifting back to the moments Jamal and I shared. I replayed the way he had looked at me, the way he held my hand earlier. "I'm just looking for something new," he had said, and I wondered if that was what I was looking for too. "Clara?" His voice brought me back to the present. I looked up to find Jamal standing in the doorway, a curious expression on his face. "You okay?" "Just lost in thought," I admitted, feeling a blush creep up my cheeks. I was thinking about how different things used to be. He stepped into the room, his gaze softening. "Different how?" I hesitated, unsure if I should share my feelings. "I guess I miss the excitement. The connection. It feels like everything has become routine." Jamal nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I get that. Sometimes life can feel like a loop, you know? But you have to find a way to break free." His words resonated with me, igniting a flicker of hope. Could I really break free? The idea of exploring this new connection with Jamal both thrilled and terrified me. What would it mean for my marriage? Could I be brave enough to chase after something that felt so right, even if it was wrong? As I sorted through another box, my fingers brushed against a framed picture of Michael and me from our honeymoon. We were smiling, carefree, and in love. I felt a pang in my chest. "I don't want to hurt him," I said, more to myself than to Jamal. "You shouldn't ignore what you feel, Clara," he replied gently. "It's important to be true to yourself." His gaze pierced through me, and I could feel my heart racing. I wanted to tell him how I felt, to share the confusion swirling inside me. But I was also scared of what that meant. What if I'm just being selfish? I asked, my voice shaking slightly. "Self-discovery isn't selfish," he said, stepping closer. "It's how we grow. But it's a tough choice to make." In that moment, I felt a tug at my heart. Jamal reached out and took my hand, his touch sending a wave of warmth through me. "Clara, I want you to know that you're not alone in this. I care about you, and I understand what you're going through." His sincerity made my heart ache. I was caught between the love I had for Michael and the magnetic pull I felt towards Jamal. The internal conflict was tearing me apart. "I wish things were simpler," I admitted, squeezing his hand, feeling both comforted and terrified. Jamal looked into my eyes, and for a moment, the world around us faded away. "Maybe they can be," he said softly. "But you have to decide what you truly want." As I stood there, holding his hand, I felt the weight of my responsibilities pressing down on me. Could I reconcile my longing for passion with my loyalty to Michael? I knew I had to figure it out, and soon. The tension between desire and duty was growing stronger, and I could no longer ignore the feelings that had been awakened within me. I took a deep breath, knowing that whatever I chose would change everything. The excitement of the unknown called to me, but the fear of losing what I had was equally loud. It was a crossroads, and I needed to find my way through the chaos. As the days passed, I found myself drawn to Jamal more than I ever expected. Each encounter felt like a spark, igniting a fire inside me that I had long buried. We started meeting more often, our conversations shifting from casual chats to something deeper, more charged. Every moment felt electric, filled with unspoken desires that hung between us like an unbreakable thread. One evening, we found ourselves at a small coffee shop, tucked away from the world. The cozy ambience wrapped around us, making it feel like we were in our own little bubble. I stirred my drink absently as I watched Jamal animatedly talk about his recent art project. His passion was contagious, and I felt a smile creeping onto my face. "Clara, you have to see it when it's done." "I think you'll love it," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. "I can't wait," I replied, my heart racing. "You have such a talent. I admire how you see the world." "Thanks," he said, leaning closer. "But honestly, you inspire me too. You have this light about you." His words sent a thrill through me, and I looked down, trying to hide the blush creeping onto my cheeks. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years, and it scared me. I knew I was stepping into dangerous territory, but part of me couldn't resist. As we continued to talk, I noticed how he would occasionally reach out, brushing his hand against mine. Each touch sent shivers down my spine, and I could feel the tension building between us. I was caught between my heart and my mind, my loyalty to Michael warring with the excitement I felt with Jamal. "Clara," Jamal said softly, breaking through my thoughts. "I need to be honest with you." My heart raced as I met his gaze. "What is it?" "I can't help how I feel about you. There's something special here." His voice was steady but filled with emotion. I swallowed hard, my mind racing. "I feel it too, Jamal." "But what about Michael?" The question hung heavily in the air. "I know it's complicated," he replied, his expression serious. "But you deserve to be happy. You deserve to feel alive." His words struck a chord within me. Happiness felt like a distant dream, something I had almost forgotten. "I don't want to hurt him," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I understand," he said gently. "But you also have to think about yourself. You can't keep living for someone else if it means losing who you are." I nodded slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. I felt torn, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to jump but afraid of the fall. The more I spent time with Jamal, the more I questioned my choices and my feelings for Michael. That night, as I lay in bed, my thoughts spiraled. I could feel the pull toward Jamal growing stronger, and it terrified me. What if I chose him? What would that mean for my marriage? I loved Michael, but I felt so disconnected from him. The emotional distance was becoming unbearable. A few days later, I had planned a quiet dinner with Michael, hoping to reconnect. The evening felt charged with tension, my heart racing as I prepared. The candles were lit, and the table was set, but I couldn't shake the feeling of dread in my stomach. When Michael arrived home, he greeted me with a warm smile. "Wow, this looks amazing, Clara," he said, his eyes lighting up. "Thank you," I replied, forcing a smile. "I thought we could use a nice dinner together." As we sat down, I could feel the weight of my thoughts pressing down on me. We talked about our day, but the conversation felt forced. I was aware of the space between us, both physical and emotional. "Are you okay?" Michael asked, concern creeping into his voice. "You seem a bit distant." "I'm fine," I lied, my heart racing as I thought of Jamal. "Just a little tired, I guess." He nodded, but I could see the worry in his eyes. "If something's bothering you, you can talk to me." I wanted to tell him everything, the truth about my feelings, the connection I felt with Jamal, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I forced myself to nod and smile. Later, as we enjoyed dessert, my phone buzzed. I glanced down to see a message from Jamal asking if I was okay. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt a pang of guilt. I quickly put my phone away, but the message lingered in my mind. It was a reminder that I was living in two worlds, and I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. As I looked at Michael, I realized I couldn't ignore my feelings any longer. The tension between my heart and my loyalty was reaching a breaking point. I had to confront the reality of my situation and decide what I truly wanted. The night wore on, but I could feel the storm brewing inside me, and I knew the calm would not last for long. I had a choice to make, and soon, I would have to face the consequences of my heart. The storm outside raged like the turmoil inside me. I stood in the kitchen, glancing at the candles flickering on the dining table. The glow was meant to create a romantic atmosphere, but all it did was highlight the tension I felt. Michael had planned this dinner to rekindle our relationship, completely unaware of the emotional chaos swirling within me. "Clara, are you ready?" Michael called from the living room, his voice warm and inviting. I took a deep breath and forced a smile as I walked into the room. "Yes, just about," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked at me with those kind eyes that once made my heart flutter. "This looks incredible. You always know how to make things special." "Thanks," I said, my heart heavy. I couldn't shake the thoughts of Jamal from my mind. I was torn, feeling the love for Michael battling against the magnetic pull towards Jamal. As we sat down to eat, I could feel the weight of my silence pressing down on us. We started with small talk, discussing our day, the weather, and even a funny story from work. But every laugh felt strained, every smile forced. I kept glancing at my phone, knowing a text from Jamal was waiting for me, a reminder of the feelings I was trying to suppress. "Are you sure you're okay?" Michael asked, his brow furrowing with concern. "You seem a bit distant tonight." "I'm fine," I lied, my voice barely above a whisper. I couldn't let him see the storm brewing inside me. "Just tired, I guess." He nodded, but I could see the worry etched on his face. "If something's bothering you, Clara, you can talk to me. You know that, right?" I wanted to shout out my truth, to tell him about Jamal and the connection we had. But I felt paralyzed. The words stuck in my throat, a lump of fear and guilt. Instead, I smiled weakly and shook my head. "Really, I'm okay." As we moved to dessert, I felt my phone buzz again. I glanced down, my heart racing as I saw Jamal's name light up the screen. "Are you okay?" it read. My pulse quickened, and I quickly tucked my phone away, feeling the guilt wash over me. Michael was right in front of me, pouring his heart into our relationship, and here I was, thinking about someone else. "Clara?" Michael's voice pulled me back. "What is it?" "You can tell me." I looked at him, seeing the genuine concern in his eyes. The man I had built a life with. "It's just... I'm worried about my job," I stammered, the lie slipping out easily. "Things have been stressful." He reached across the table, taking my hand in his. "You don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. We'll figure it out together." His touch sent a shiver through me, but it was not the warm thrill I craved. Instead, it reminded me of the growing distance between us. I wanted to feel what I once felt for him, but my heart was drifting elsewhere. As we finished dinner, the conversation turned to our plans for the weekend. "Maybe we can go hiking," he suggested, his eyes brightening. "Just the two of us. It would be nice to reconnect." I forced a smile, but the idea felt suffocating. "Yeah, that sounds good," I managed to say, even though my heart was elsewhere. Then, the storm outside intensified, rain pounding against the windows. The sound matched the chaos in my mind. I could feel the tension building, a storm ready to break. I knew I couldn't keep pretending. "Michael," I began, my voice trembling. "Can we talk about us?" He looked surprised, his expression shifting from concern to curiosity. "Of course. What's on your mind?" I hesitated, the words caught in my throat. I glanced down at our joined hands, feeling the warmth of his touch but also the weight of my truth. I just feel like there's something between us that's changed." "What do you mean?" His eyes searched mine, trying to understand. "I don't know if I can explain it," I said, my heart racing. "But I feel like I'm losing myself. And I worry that we're not as close as we used to be." He looked down, processing my words. "I've felt it too, Clara. I thought maybe we could fix it with this dinner. But if there's something deeper, we need to talk about it." In that moment, my phone buzzed again, and I glanced at it, seeing Jamal's name flash across the screen. The internal battle raged inside me. I had to make a choice. The realization hit me like a bolt of lightning. I could no longer ignore my feelings. I need to be honest with you, I said, finding my voice. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. Michael's gaze sharpened, a mix of concern and confusion crossing his face. What are you saying, Clara? I took a deep breath, feeling the storm finally break. I need to figure out what I want and who I want to be. With that, I knew the conversation would only deepen the rift or bring us closer. But it was time to face the truth, no matter the cost. The silence that followed my words felt heavy, like a thick fog settling in the room. Michael's expression shifted from confusion to concern, and I could almost see the wheels turning in his mind. I had opened a door, and now I had to step through it, no matter what lay beyond. What do you mean, Clara? He asked, his voice steady but laced with unease. What are you trying to say? I could feel my heart racing, and I struggled to find the right words. I just feel lost. I thought this dinner would help, but it hasn't. I've been thinking about us, and I don't know if we're really happy anymore. Michael frowned, his eyes searching mine. Are you saying you're unhappy with me? With our marriage? His voice cracked slightly, and I could tell this was hitting him hard. It's not just you, I replied quickly. It's me too. I've been feeling disconnected for a while now. It feels like we're just going through the motions. Michael pulled back slightly, releasing my hand. So, what do you want? What are you saying? Are you saying you want to leave? My breath caught in my throat. I don't know, Michael. I just know that there's someone else on my mind. His face paled, and I could see the realization hit him like a wave. Is it Jamal? Is that who you're talking about? I hesitated, the weight of his question hanging in the air. Yes, but it's not just about him. It's about how I feel when I'm with him. It's different. It's exciting. Exciting? Michael echoed, his voice rising slightly. And what about the life we've built together? What about everything we've worked for? I know, I said, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. But I can't keep ignoring how I feel. I need to be honest with you and with myself. He stood up abruptly, running a hand through his hair in frustration. So you're just going to throw everything away? What about our plans? Our future? I don't want to throw everything away, I pleaded. But I can't pretend that I'm okay when I'm not. I feel like I'm losing myself. I want to feel alive again. A long pause followed as Michael processed my words. I could see the pain in his eyes, and it broke my heart. Clara, I love you. I thought we could work through this. I thought we could find our way back to each other. I love you too, but love isn't enough if we're not truly happy, I said, my voice trembling. I don't want to keep dragging us through this if we're both feeling lost. Michael's face hardened, and I could tell he was hurt. So, what? You think you will find happiness with him? You think everything will just be perfect? I don't know what I will find, I admitted, feeling the tears spill over. But I have to explore it. I need to know what my heart truly wants. He shook his head, anger flashing in his eyes. You're being reckless, Clara. Do you even realize the consequences of your actions? I'm trying to be honest about my feelings, I replied, my voice rising in frustration. I can't keep pretending things are fine when they're not. Maybe you should have thought about that before, he shot back, his voice filled with hurt and bitterness. I took a step back, feeling overwhelmed. Michael, I never meant to hurt you. I just needed to say what's been on my mind. Silence fell between us again, and I could see the cracks in our relationship widening. I felt a mix of guilt and relief. I had finally spoken my truth, but at what cost? After a few moments, Michael looked away, his voice softening but still filled with pain. I need some time to think. I can't believe this is happening. I understand, I said, my heart aching. I just hope you know that I didn't want to hurt you. I care about you, I really do. He nodded, but his eyes were distant. I need space, Clara. I think we both do. As he walked away, I felt a mix of emotions swirling within me. I had taken the first step towards honesty, but it had shattered the fragile state of our marriage. Now, I was left standing in the wreckage, unsure of what to do next. In the quiet that followed, my phone buzzed again, a message from Jamal. My heart raced as I read the words, "Are you okay? I've been thinking about you." I stared at the screen, torn between the life I had known and the uncertainty that lay ahead. Could I reach out to him now? Did I even want to? I felt lost in a sea of confusion, questioning everything I once held dear. The choices ahead seemed daunting, and yet, deep down, I knew I had to make them. The days that followed my confrontation with Michael felt like walking through a thick fog. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions, and I could hardly think straight. I found myself sitting in the living room, staring at the empty space beside me where Michael usually sat. It felt strange, almost surreal. I picked up my phone again, the screen lighting up with Jamal's message. "Are you okay? I've been thinking about you." My heart raced at the thought of him. I wanted to reply, but I hesitated. How could I explain everything that had just happened? Taking a deep breath, I typed back, "I'm trying to be okay. Can we talk?" Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. "Of course. I'll come over." I felt a mix of anticipation and fear. The choice loomed over me like a dark cloud. I wanted to embrace the passion I felt for Jamal, but I also knew it meant stepping away from everything I had with Michael. When Jamal arrived, I could see the concern in his eyes. "Clara, what's going on? You look different." I nodded, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down on me. I just had a conversation with Michael. I told him how I felt. Jamal took a seat across from me, his gaze steady. And how did he take it? I swallowed hard, the memory of Michael's hurt flashing through my mind. Not well. He was upset, and I don't blame him. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I had to be honest. Jamal leaned in closer, his voice soft. "You have to do what's right for you, Clara. It's not easy, but you deserve to feel happy." I felt a tear slide down my cheek. But what if I'm making a mistake? What if I ruin everything? Jamal reached out, his hand brushing against mine. "You won't know unless you try. Sometimes, taking a risk is what leads to finding yourself." His touch sent a shiver down my spine, and I realized how much I craved this connection. I feel so torn. I love Michael, but I can't ignore how I feel about you. Jamal's expression softened. "You don't have to decide everything right now. Just take a moment to breathe and think about what you truly want." I closed my eyes, trying to picture my life ahead. I thought about the comfort of my marriage with Michael, the routines we built, but then I remembered the excitement and joy I felt with Jamal. It was a spark I hadn't felt in years. "Clara," Jamal said gently, breaking my thoughts. "What do you want? Deep down, what does your heart say?" I opened my eyes, meeting his gaze. "I want to feel alive again. I want to chase after that spark, but I'm scared of the consequences." "You have to be true to yourself," he urged. "Being faithful to yourself is just as important as being faithful to someone else. It's not about running away, it's about discovering who you really are." I felt a rush of realization. You're right. I've spent so long trying to please everyone else, but I've lost sight of my own desires. Jamal smiled, and I could see a flicker of hope in his eyes. "You deserve to find your happiness, Clara. No matter what that looks like." As I sat there, I knew I had to confront my fears. I had to choose between the stability of my marriage and the passion I felt for Jamal. It wouldn't be easy, but I felt the urge to embrace the uncertainty. "Can we go for a walk?" I asked suddenly, feeling the need to clear my mind. "Of course," he said, standing up and offering me his hand. As we stepped outside, the cool air hit my face, refreshing and invigorating. I allowed myself to breathe deeply, feeling the weight of my decision settle within me. With each step we took, I felt a sense of clarity. I knew I had to face the reality of my choices, no matter how daunting they may be. "I need to talk to Michael again," I said, my voice steady. Jamal nodded. "Whenever you're ready, I'll be here for you." In that moment, I understood that choosing my own path didn't mean I had to walk it alone. I might face challenges ahead, but I was ready to embrace the journey of self-discovery. What lay ahead was uncertain, but I felt a flicker of hope. My story was far from over, it was just beginning. Share this story if you believe that following your heart can lead to true happiness, even in the face of tough choices. Leave a comment about a moment when you had to choose between comfort and passion, and subscribe for more captivating stories like this one.